Our life, our everyday life, is based on two principles: fear and pleasure, reward and punishment. From this arises this constant struggle. From this also arises the whole question of behavior. Because our behavior, that is conduct, how we treat others and treat ourselves, the manner of our speech, the activities of our daily life, are based on these two principles. And as long as these two principles, which is fear and pleasure, reward and punishment, there must be not only contradiction in ourselves and therefore in our actions, but also in our relationship with each other. And struggle and effort to become something, to achieve something. Psychologically, we are speaking, becomes one of our major problems of life. I don't know if you have noticed how every human being, right throughout the world, doesn't matter where you go, whether you go in the Far East, Near East, or in the West, man is caught in this web, in this trap of endless struggle. Struggle not only to live securely, physically, but also psychologically, the battle that goes on within oneself, which is most destructive. I do not know if you have noticed this in yourself, how your life, your daily life, is based on this extraordinary principle of fear and pleasure, and therefore one is trying to dominate the other, and from this arises this endless conflict. Is it possible to live a life without this constant battle, without this constant struggle, inwardly as well as outwardly? To really understand this, you have to see what your life is first. That it is a struggle, that it is terribly frustrating, painful. Be aware of that. Be conscious of it. Then don't escape from it. Don't run away from what you see. Don't try to explain it. Don't try to rationalize it. But stay with what actually is, that you are struggling, that there is battle going on inside yourself to be different and to become different and so on. Just watch that. And in that watching, in that awareness, you will find that by the very act of that attention, the struggle comes to an end. Silence has many qualities. There is the silence between two noises, the silence between two notes, and the widening silence in the interval between two thoughts. There is that peculiar, quiet, pervading silence that comes of an evening in the country. There is the silence in a house when everybody has gone to sleep, and its peculiar emphasis when you wake up in the middle of the night and listen to an owl hooting in the valley. And there is that silence before the owl's mate answers. There is the silence of an old deserted house and the silence of a mountain. The silence between two human beings when they have seen the same thing, felt the same thing and acted. The meditative mind contains all these varieties, changes and movements of silence. This silence of the mind is the true religious mind, and the silence of the gods is the silence of the earth. And strangely that morning, it had come through the window like some perfume, and with it came a sense, a feeling of the absolute. As you looked out of the window, the distance between all things disappeared, and your eyes opened with the dawn and saw everything anew. Love, like most human issues, is a very complex problem. I think we should approach it simply and look rather deeply into this question. Love isn't pleasure, nor desire, nor is it a romantic, fanciful affair. And we have made it either idealistic or a sexual affair. And I think when you go into it rather deeply, you'll find that when pleasure is identified with love, it becomes very personal. And therefore, it causes a great deal of harm. It brings about hurt, jealousy, anxiety, and pain. And in the pursuit of pleasure, there is always fear. And where there is fear, naturally, there cannot be love.